Rev up your engines! Bill Nye says, Scotty, you should get an electric lift in your new place in Tennessee so you're not always crawling under the car. No, because then I'll get like Marlon, who also started out thin. I get bigger and bigger and bigger, then I'd be 300-something pounds. Crawling under cars going around keeps me from getting insanely large. I like eating. See, I'm not going to stop eating. And if I had a lift, I would be doing less exercise, and I would get bigger and bigger and bigger. It's kind of like truck drivers, you know? They get bigger and bigger because they have a stressful thing where they're sitting driving, sitting on their fanny, and their butts get big too. Because it's stressful. Sitting down all day long, you know? No, you got to get up, go down. You got to move. You can't stop moving. One, you get bigger and eventually you die. My grandfather was a mechanic. I learned how to fix cars from him. When my father shut down his corner Texaco gas station, when he shut it down, within a year my grandfather was dead. He was the mechanic there. Because then he just sat on a couch and watched baseball and football. He didn't drink or smoke, so he wasn't doing anything anymore. So you got to do things. The more things you do, the better off you are. George says, hey, my sister and her husband are looking for a new car. They have 3 kids and 2 dogs. They want something reliable and long-lasting but cheaper. What do you recommend? Reliable and long-lasting and cheap don't go together unless you get lucky. Now, you never know. Go to estate sales. And I'll ask friends. Maybe somebody's joining the army and they're selling their vehicle. It's a good vehicle. They want a pretty big vehicle and everybody wants those things. And they probably want an SUV and the prices of them are... Because you got the people and the kids, yeah, you can fit them in a Toyota Corolla or a Toyota Camry, a little nicer. You get an older one. They're very reliable. But you can't fit all those people plus 2 dogs unless they're little bitty dogs, like a Chihuahua. And not even a full-size Chihuahua, a miniature Chihuahua. I mean, the Toyotas, the Hondas are really reliable vehicles. But if you're talking about something that fits all those, you're talking sky-high prices. Everybody wants SUVs. And everybody knows the Toyotas and Hondas are the best. So the prices have gone insane. My son recently bought a Toyota, and he bought a new one. I never bought new, but he said, Dad, the used ones are going for more money than I could get a new one. So I bought a new one. It's gone insane. Prices are insane. It's not a good time to be buying, but hey, look around. You never know. Maybe you'll find a deal. Maybe somebody's nuts and they're getting rid of a good vehicle. Say, instead of trading it in, sell it to me. Because you say, I'll pay the same price as the trade-in. Because when the dealer pays for a trade-in, then they sell it for, 5 to 10 more than what they paid for it. Just bypass the dealer and tell your friend, oh, you're trading your car. And what are they giving you? Well, they're giving me 10 grand. Well, you give them 10 grand and take it then. Mr. Emmett says, Scotty, should I get a 90s Lancer Galant? Mitsubishi is my first car. Well, only if you're a mechanic. You're talking about what? 30-something-year-old car. Any car is going to be falling apart when it's that old. You're going to have things break. The AC probably won't work. What do you want to live with? Now, if you are looking at those Lancers and Galants from the 90s, their automatic transmissions are garbage. If you drive a standard and you can find a standard transmission one, if mechanic says the engine's good, it could be okay thing for driving around in, right? But their automatics stink, and being that old, they're either going to be shot or they're going to be wearing out soon and cost 3 to 5 grand to do them over. So maybe not such a good idea to get a first car that's 30-something years old, unless you're a mechanic. But then again, how could you be a mechanic if this is your first car? Look for a 90s Toyota or Honda. You got a much better chance of them still being a good vehicle. They actually can run down the road without spending a fortune on it. Thomas Johansson says, I got a 96 4Runner. It doesn't start for about 30 minutes after I drive 20 minutes and parking 5 to 10 minutes. No codes, no mechanics can find out. Okay, hot in Houston, yeah. Well, it's not hot here in Rhode Island. It's beautiful. Realize one thing. When it doesn't start, there's got to be a reason, right? So, when it doesn't start, do my video tests. Fixing a car that cranks but doesn't start up. Check the fuel pressure. If you got no fuel pressure, your fuel pump's overheating, you need a new fuel pump. It's an old vehicle. It's a 96, right? Maybe it's not getting spark. Check for spark. If it's not getting spark, typical on a 96, they have electronic ignition, but they still got a distributor on it, computer module inside the distributor goes bad. You just go and buy a remanufactured or new distributor for that if you're not getting any spark. But do the tests, not getting fuel or spark, and you'll be able to figure it out. Now, the problem, people say, well, we can't figure it out. They're kind of stupid because all they have to do is what you did. Run it for a certain period of time, then let it sit for 10 minutes, doesn't start, find out why it doesn't start. But obviously, they're too lazy to do it. I see so many lazy mechanics these days. I mean, the whole society's lazy, so they follow with everything else. If somebody explains to me, here's what happens in my car, I do exactly what they say, and then it will happen, and I'll be able to figure out what it is. Matthew Smith says, I got a Pontiac Bonneville where the wiper blades randomly turn on when I'm driving. Where do I troubleshoot it? Well, you really don't have to troubleshoot it at all. Buy the windshield wiper motor assembly. There's the motor assembly, and it includes the circuit board. What's happening is your circuit board is shorting out, and it happens to those things all the time. Now, you can buy a remanufactured one at an auto parts store, or if you want to buy new, buy a Dorman one, company that makes aftermarket parts, and theirs aren't rebuilt. Those are brand new. Then they work perfectly out. What happens is the stupid circuit board, sometimes you hit bumps, it shorts out, sends power to the wipers, and they come on and off. It's a known flaw in those things. They always did that, but you can easily just unbolt the stuff, put a new one in. It's not something that's that complex. You don't have to reprogram the computer on an 04 when you replace it, even though it's a computer module. You just plug it in and away it goes. So buy the whole wiper motor assembly with the module included. Some guys will sell you just the motor and you reuse your old module. Don't do that. Buy the module and motor assembly. Brigette says, on my 017 Honda Accord, the defrost setting, will it run the AC compressor in the winter? Do I have to use the AC in the winter? Oh no, it runs the compressor when you put your defrost on. Here's the funny thing. If it's cold outside, it's going to do it because that's how it works. Heat is heat, but AC is real dry. If you just have heat and no AC in the winter, a lot of times your window will fog up from the humidity. The AC is so dry it keeps it fogging up. So the computer knows when you turn it on defrost, it turns the AC and the heat on. If in the winter, let's say you live someplace that's 20 degrees outside, if you turn just the AC on, it won't come on. It won't turn the compressor on because it's too cold outside and the computer won't allow you to turn it on because it's already too cold. But when you put it on defrost, the computer knows I have to turn the AC on too to get rid of the humidity, and it will turn it on. But if you just turn on the AC, it won't come on in the winter when it's cold because the computer knows it's cold outside and it won't allow it to turn on. Alicia said, I got a 2000 Jeep Wrangler 4-liter. The tranny makes a rattle noise in neutral. When I step on the clutch pedal, the sound goes away. The rattle sound only happens when I'm in neutral. I hate to tell you this, but if it made it in gears and stuff when you step on it, it could be the throwout bearing. It could be rattling. But you said it only does it neutral. Unfortunately for you, it means that the main shaft bearings in the transmission are going out, and that's why it's rattling. The only thing that can make a rattling noise is either the clutch throwout bearing or the main shaft of the transmission. The clutch throwout bearing will do it whether you're in gear or out of gear. It doesn't matter. But you're only going to hear the main shaft when you're in neutral. I'd live with it because you'd have to rebuild the whole transmission. And if it still shifts and runs okay, I'd live with it. I wouldn't worry about it. Rebuilding the transmission is a big deal. And hardly anybody these days is any good at rebuilding standard transmissions because 96% of Americans drive automatic transmissions. So there's not that many standards. So the guys that used to fix them, most of them are long gone. And nobody's going to learn because they're like, I don't make any money. There's hardly any of those out there. I'll work on the automatics, not the standard. So they're very expensive to replace. Romance says, do you recommend replacing interior lights with LED lights? Any drawbacks? They don't have any particular drawbacks because they're just interior lights. You turn them on and they're on. Now, if you change your turn signals with LEDs, then when you turn the turn signals, sometimes they go click, 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 or they go real slow, click, click, and you got to put a ballast resistor in line and stuff. But you're talking about interior lights. You turn them on, they'll come on. They'll use less power. Generally, they last forever because they don't overheat and burn a filament because they don't have filaments. So there's nothing wrong with it. They draw a lot less electricity. You ever touch the regular bulbs, they're hot and burn your fingers. The LEDs aren't. So if you don't mind spending, you want to put different colors or something? LEDs come in all colors of the rainbow. You know, why not? Crush on Tie says, Scotty, what's your favorite tire brand for a car, not an SUV? I actually like the Michelins. If you don't mind spending the money, I got Michelins on my wife's Lexus and they're phenomenal tires. Now, to be honest, I didn't pay anything for them because there was a company that said, hey, we got this deal. We come to people's houses and install tires on their cars in their neighborhoods. And I said, well, that'd make kind of an interesting video. So I said, come on over. So they came in his truck and it's self-enclosed. They don't plug into your house. They got their own generator. They got their own tire changing and balancing machine built into the truck that they bought. And they put 4 tires on the car. Now, I don't do paid advertising. So I said, you can't pay me to make a video. So when they're all done, they said, oh, you can keep the tires. So I got 4 Michelins for nothing. And they are great tires. The best tires I've ever had on any of her cars. If you don't mind the price, get Michelins. I've seen nothing wrong with Michelins. They make pretty good tires. But, you know, American companies like Cooper and stuff, they make good tires too. And they're somewhat cheaper. But if you really want secure good tires, I like Michelins. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.